Fastest way to become a plumbing apprentice? Let's talk about it.
I'm Kenny Molotov, licensed plumber, professional magician, and entertainer. On this channel, I go through the ins and outs of my career in plumbing. I take you through a day in the life and we talk tools, theory, and mindset. I'm trying to give you an arsenal of knowledge and an online resource so you can take this trade head on and find yourself successful on the other end. Click subscribe, hit that bell notification, and let's talk pipes.
Peeps, Kenny Molotov. Check out MolotovPlumbingAcademy.com for courses that are specifically designed to help you succeed in your apprenticeship. Also, join our newsletter if you get a chance. That way you don't miss a video like this or a vlog on the channel from now on. So, Peeps, I wanted to tackle this subject because a lot of you are having a hard time getting your foot in the door, and this is a common theme in a lot of apprentices' lives. And there are a couple of tips and tricks that I've learned over the years that I've heard some apprentices have used to have some success in the field. So I wanted to demystify these, bring them up to you so that if you're not using them, then you have some form of opportunity of trying them out and maybe they actually help you out as well. So I'm going to get a couple of the obvious things out of the way at the beginning. That way you get your bases all looked after, and that way I know that you definitely know about these before we get on to the stuff that's really going to be the important stuff that you move forward with. First and foremost, whenever you're looking for work, like any sort of career, you have to put your CV together. Now, CV is a fancy term which basically means resume. Resume is the word that I grew up with, and a resume basically is a document that tells the employer who you are, what skills you have, what you're bringing to the table. So a CV is going to require a cover letter that basically describes your goal and purpose to the company, and then on the rest of the document, you're talking about your academic achievements, maybe your other extracurricular achievements, things that have shown character development and intellectual development and these sorts of things. So the moment you have your CV and you get that out of the way, the next thing that you have to tackle is you got to find a list of plumbing companies that you're going to approach. This could be union companies or non-union companies. At the beginning, most people ask me, what should you do? Should you automatically right off the bat start deciding on which field in plumbing you're planning to go into, like new construction or service or union or non-union? I am of the opinion that if you are just starting out and you haven't had a single minute of plumbing under your belt, you are going wherever they are hiring. That's my opinion, because the faster you start your apprenticeship, the better for you. And then later on in your career, you could always pivot if you need to. So get a list of companies that you're planning on sending the resume out to. You can do a Google search of the companies that are in your area. You could do a Google search of the companies outside of that area where it's still a comfortable commute if you have to go there. And then once you have a list, and I'd say you want to put a list together of 10 or 15 companies, you want to start by seeing if you can send a resume out to each and every one of these companies. You are then going to wait for a response, obviously, but then if you're not getting any responses, your next game plan is to go and approach these companies. I think if you are confident enough to approach these companies even before you send your resumes, that is your best game plan. I personally have heard and believe plumbing companies are the sorts of institutions that want to see some sort of action taking place. So in other words, it's going to mean way more to show up on their doorstep, knock on their door, introduce yourself, hand a physical document called your resume or CV over, ask them what kind of plumbing they do. By talking to the people that work there, you're going to be able to get a good confirmation on the company that they are, the people that they are. Are they friendly? Are they really mean? I think there's so much value in showing up, not only for yourself to give yourself some form of reputation by going there, but there's also value in your ability to process all the information you got from there. So if you have the courage, I suggest doing this. If you feel comfortable, I would do this first and foremost. Create your resume and just show up on doorsteps and start shaking hands. That would be my go-to plan. Now, in regards to approaching these companies, some important questions that you might want to ask. Number one, have they ever registered a plumbing apprentice before? This is a good question. Some companies have never done it before, and you being the first person that they might do it for might kind of indicate to you where the company's been in their business model. They weren't ever interested in signing up apprentices before. So the question then runs into, why is that? Is it just they never had the opportunity to, or do they have something against it, that sort of thing. The next question I would ask is, how many licensed journey persons are there? Because here in Ontario, Canada, it's a 1-to-1 ratio. Every licensed journey person is only allowed to register 1 apprentice. So if they have 4 journey persons and 4 registered apprentices, that means you're going to wait for a spot. That's not the end of the world. That's not a deal breaker, but it means that it's going to take some time before you officially get registered, and then you have to do your in-class sessions, okay? Those are great questions to ask. Also asking what the hours are, what would the pay be, that sort of thing. That's why going in person is such a crucial thing. So now that we got the first 2 out of the way, those were the obvious ones for me, things that you should be doing on your own. Here's something that I've heard was a recent concept for me that I think is going to be really valuable. You can offer to the company something called a working interview. And what a working interview is, you are basically going to work with the company for 1 day. You are going to go to all the job sites with them as they would normally take you if you were a registered apprentice with them or a hired apprentice with them, and you are just going to work a day with them. And in that working of a day, they get to get a vibe off of you and you get to get a vibe off of them. Now, a lot of the apprentices that I have seen go through this process weren't paid for that day. So they just went and it was kind of like a 1-day internship. By doing that, they actually were able to be asked back. You know what I mean? This is an opportunity to show yourself and show what you're made of and show the attitude that you bring to the job site. And the moment that I heard apprentices were doing this, it kind of made so much sense to me, because a lot of plumbing companies are nervous about hiring somebody and not knowing what they're like on the job site. Are they the kind of people that will kind of just break down in the middle of really difficult work? Will they just fold under pressure? Will they give attitude by needing to run to the truck? Like that sort of thing. You can't really see that unless you're on a job site. So by offering a working interview, you are also offering and telling that company, listen, I'm confident in my skills. Now I want to give you the opportunity to also become confident in my skills. And when a company hears that, I think they're going to be way more receptive to it, because they understand how serious you are. You are willing to invest an entire day for them to be able to take a look at you and see what you're able to do. I think personally that this is going to be a game changer for you, and that it's really going to help you get your foot in the door. Now what I want to do is quickly describe the sort of characteristics you want to bring to the table in that working interview. Let's say you did everything I said. Here's where we need to get into the nitty-gritty of what plumbing companies are looking for. And a lot of this, especially when they know you're a first-year apprentice, that you have 0 hours under your belt, a lot of what you're bringing to the table, if not everything, is attitude. It's character. And these are the characteristics that people will need from you. The very first thing that you have to do is you have to be on time. And by on time means you want to be at least 15 minutes ahead of time. That way you can sit down, get the gist of what everybody's doing, help them prep the truck on the way out, that sort of thing. You do not want to be late, especially for your working interview, because that's going to work against you. I promise you. They probably won't call you back, or they might even leave, or you even get to sit in the truck. Do you know what I'm saying? So being late is going to be a big no-no. It's going to be some major red flags for the company, so don't do it, please. You have to be on time at least 15 minutes beforehand, okay? So now that we got that out of the way, you need to get to a job site and you can't be a slouch. What that basically means is your hands aren't in your pockets, you aren't on any sort of device, you are there and you are game from the get-go. A lot of this is shown in your body language, which means your hands are out of your pocket and you are alert and aware. The next thing is asking the question, what can I do? If you walk onto the job site and you have a moment where you're not doing anything, you could turn to the journey person and say, is there anything I could do for you? Can I grab you a drop sheet? Can I get you some tools? That sort of thing. That's how you want to start off the attitude, and that's how you want to show your character throughout the day. So any moment you feels like you're not doing anything, you should ask, what can I do? The second thing that you need to do is make sure that you're not on any sort of device. You're not pulling out your phone. You're not checking emails. You're not on Instagram. You are there, fully alert, looking at the journey person, watching what they're doing, following their orders, following their steps, as long as it's safe for you, obviously, and continuing to constantly ask, what can I do? Now, make sure you don't get annoying with it. Make sure you're not asking every 5 seconds, but when it's appropriate, when it's calm, when it's quiet, and you feel like you could be doing something, you can either ask, what can I do? Or is there something I can get for you? Or can I do that while you go ahead and grab something else, sort of thing? That's what you need to be doing. You need to be facilitating the journey person, making sure that they are getting to the next phase of the task at hand. The next thing that you have to kind of consider is they are going to be asking you to do things that aren't plumbing related at all. This is what my apprenticeship was like, and this is what a lot of people's apprenticeships are like. A lot of the times you're not doing plumbing related stuff. You are actually cleaning up job sites. You are barely touching the tools. You are running the truck to grab tools. You are sometimes grabbing coffees, that sort of thing. That's what it takes to be an apprentice. That's what cutting your teeth is. Sometimes you're just lugging around heavy materials. That's part of the game, part of what it is to be an apprentice. You need to understand that. In most circumstances, not start on day one with your hands on anything significant because you don't have the skills to handle whatever it is that is significant. You understand? So a lot of what you're doing is helping facilitate the journey person, getting to the next task, but also you are observing. You're observing their problem-solving abilities. You are observing how they talk and interact with customers. You are also observing how they solve problems. These are major things that you are seeing and processing that sometimes you don't even realize that you're processing these things. So listen, it's part of the process. You aren't going to be doing anything significant, but you are there to show them that you are game as long as they are game. You are able to sit there and learn and facilitate. And if you end up going to a working interview and showing that sort of attitude and initiative, you have a very high chance of being asked back the following day and finally being put on the payroll at some point. That is what that attitude that you bring to the table is going to be able to do for you. But we need to go a step further, the final phase. What happens if you do a working interview, you handed in your resume, you felt like you had a good experience, but you don't get a call back? Under those circumstances is reach out to the company one more time and just say, listen, I felt like I had a good experience, but would you be able to tell me what you think I could have done better and maybe the reasons why I wasn't hired the following day or the following week, etc. By finding out your weaknesses, you are taking initiative in your life. Listen, weaknesses, they're not permanent blocks in the road. These are things that we have to build bridges over. You are able to work on your weaknesses. You are able to change some of the attitudes that you have and behaviors that you do. These are things you're going to have to do at some point if you want to be successful in the market. That's what it takes. It takes learning what you're bad at and changing accordingly. So what you have to do is find out. And by calling up that company, you're showing a bit of humility. You're saying, look, I know I'm not perfect. I know I messed up. What do you think I could have done better? Jot those things down so that if you're blessed to have a second working interview down the road, you then have the opportunity to work on the things that you did poorly on the first go. And after enough of these, I feel like you're going to have so much opportunity and success in the future. You're going to have the ability to work through the weaknesses that you have. And that's going to be good for you in all aspects of life, not just plumbing, not just family, but everywhere. Peeps, I hope this was a useful video. I know I've done some similar content in the past, but I feel like this working interview aspect is such a new and awesome idea. And I feel like if you implement it, you're going to be able to find success even faster to finding an apprenticeship. Thank you for watching. Peeps, do me a favor. If you have any topics that you want me to cover, why don't you write them down in the comments below, because those are videos that I might potentially take on in the near future. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button down below and that bell notification so you know exactly when we're getting videos. Smash that thumbs up, share with friends, and I'll see you plumbers very soon. Kenny Molotov, guys. Peace, baby.